welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the JoyToy 1/18 scale Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These figures were about $40 retail if you were able to import them from an import site. If you found them on a US retailer, they were probably a little bit more because that retailer had to import them because these are not licensed for the US. The license applies to only certain countries. I'm not exactly sure which ones. So if you're looking for these, shop around. You should be able to find them for about $40. Anyway, let's get into this review. All right, let's get into the details here. I'm starting off with a comparison of all four because I just want to kind of show what is unique about the four. So all four heads are different. All four upper torsos with the strap are different, and that strap is molded into that torso. The belt piece, which is attached to the crotch, is also different, and then the various like attachments, like the leg straps, are all different, but the legs themselves are the same. The knee pads and elbow pads are the same, and the arms are the same, and the lower torso piece, I believe, is the same across all four. So there's quite a few different sculptural differences, but they're not 100% unique. Turning them around, you can see a couple things. The bandanas are different on each one, though they are not like pegged in. They're glued in there. I don't think they move. I haven't been able to move them, and I don't really want to like push it too much. So I think those are just glued in that exact position. It would have been cool if they were like the Mezco ones and you could kind of spin them around and position them differently. But as far as I know, these are just static and they're glued in. And then also you can see the shells are all different. They each have something different attached to them. Quickly going through all four up close. For Leonardo, he's got the strap, and then he's got the katana sheaths on the back, and he's got these armor pieces on the side, and those are separate. And then I can kind of show you the waist piece here. So you can see the crotch moving as well. That's that whole crotch piece. In fact, I can pop this off right here and just show you what that looks like. So if you were to pop the legs off, that would be a completely separate piece, and you'd be able to take it off independently of the rest of the figure. And in terms of paint, I'm just going to look at Leonardo for the paint. You can see that there's like these nice washes going on. There's a nice couple different finishes where like the front part of the shell is like a little shinier than the other parts. So it's just like, this is, I think, really where the JoyToy stuff shines. I've seen some of their Warhammer 40K stuff in hand, and it's gorgeous. Like, the details are fantastic. They've just painted these so well, and so much detail for a 1/18 scale figure. So that's really like one of the great highlights of these for me, is the awesome paint jobs, and I think it's one of the things that puts that price close to $40 for these, but definitely worth it in my opinion. Like, if you collect 1/18 scale, I think these are absolutely worth the price. Like, if you appreciate that scale, you'll probably like these. And then here's a look at Donnie, and you can see things are, a little bit different. Like, this strap is a little bit different. He's got his bow staff holder on the back there. He's got more like satchels than pouches on the belt there. And then he also has a pouch like this on the side rather than the armor of Leonardo. And Raph is all geared up with like throwing daggers. So like his kind of motif is the little throwing daggers there. And he's got an aggressive like armor piece on the back. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. I do have an error with mine, and I've already put in with LT Cave Locker Toys for a replacement, but this piece is just missing. So he's supposed to have another Psy sheath on this side here, and it was never there. It never got glued in, I don't think, because there's no like residue or anything. So I think it just was a factory error right there. But they said that they're going to contact JoyToy and get me a replacement. And finally, Michelangelo, I love this one. He's got an iPad, which these days is like an ancient relic at this point. And he's got some spray paint cans here. He's got a license plate on the back, a little chain. And if you want, you can store one of his nunchucks back here like this, if you want some weapon storage. Zooming out, here's an overall look at Leonardo so that you can get a sense of the proportions of these guys. And he stands right at about 4 inches tall. And for comparisons, here's a couple other 1/18 scale figures. Both of these are Boss Fight Studios Vitruvian hacks. And as you can see, the turtles skew a little bit tall for 1/18. I think that 4 inches is a little bit high for a turtle, because the turtle should be kind of shorter. I mean, he is a little bit shorter than these, but I would think a turtle should go, maybe up to their shoulders or something. Next, we have a couple Star Wars 3 3/4 vintage collection figures. That Vader does have a custom cape from Harker Customs, but as you can see, 3 3/4 figures are not true 1/18 scale. They are a little bit smaller. Obviously, 3 3/4 is less than 4 inches. Next, a few Glyos comparisons. Here we have some Toy Pizza Knights of the Slice figures. On the left is Cray from the new Sea of Daggers line, and on the right is the Dark Hawk from the Secret Galaxy Toy Pizza collaboration. And finally, two more Glyos. We have the Turtle Mariner from Toy Pizza on the left and the Titan Skeleton from Double G Toys on the right. And I honestly feel like that skeleton, like that Titan-sized skeleton, is probably the best representation of what a human-sized frame should look like next to these turtles specifically. So again, they are fairly large in my opinion for 1/18 scale turtles. But even though they are pretty tall for 1/18 scale, they still don't fit in with the 1/12 stuff. Even these two smaller end 1/12 figures, the SH Figure Arts Batman on the left and the Atticus Doom from Mezco on the right, are two of the smaller 1/12 figures that I have, and just still too small for that. They're just not the right size. For accessories, I will go through the things that they all come with first. So each turtle comes with its own basic peg stand, and all four of them come with an alternate stand, which is more of a diorama piece stand, and it's like a chunk of the street with a corner of the manhole, and you can put them all together, and then they pop together, and it's basically a pretty cool little diorama piece, if I can get them in there. And there you have really nicely detailed, very nicely weathered manhole cover piece. Each one has a peg hole, and so you could like pose all four turtles up on the diorama piece. They are all four identical. They just sort of cleverly fit together. Each turtle also comes with a nicely detailed skateboard. It's a little bit large, like it's kind of, it's a pretty tall skateboard for this size character, but it does have a like motorized jet engine on the back here, so propulsion maybe is why it's so big. It does have a peg stand, and then each turtle has its own color wheels on it, and the wheels do move, and they are nice. They peg in nicely. They fit on really well. I think smaller, more lifelike size might have been a little tough with them, and would have been harder to like pose them on the skateboards. And then they each came with like a slightly different slice of pizza, which I'm not going to be able to remember who came with what in the middle of recording this, but you've got one that's got like a big bite taken out of it, one that looks like you're biting it and like the cheese is pulling off, and you have one that where like you're holding it and it's like flopping over, and then just like a regular slice right here. They each come with a turtle shell communicator, so if you get all four, you get four of these, and they are all identical. They don't have like a different picture on them or anything like that. The other side is almost flat right there. And then they each come with a bunch of hands. I'm not going to go through all of them for the sake of time, but there are some differences across the turtles, but they definitely all come with fists. They all come with like open hands, and then they come with like different weapon gripping hands. I think each turtle comes with 8 hands. For character-specific weapons, each one has 2 sets. So it's got a regular set, and then it's got a effect set. So Leonardo's has this like slashing, the clear blue plastic of the slashing effect. Mikey has 2 nunchucks. One is a little more splayed out than the other, but they're very malleable, so you can position them however you wanted. And then he's also got 2 spinning versions here as well, and these actually peg out, so for like storage or whatever, it's nice that they peg so that you can kind of not have to store it and worry about bending it or something. And Raph has his 2 sides, and here you can kind of really get a good look at how nicely painted these things are. Like, these look fantastic, and they're so tiny. And then he has 2, I guess, thrusting effects, or you could even have them be like throwing effects, but like the effect looks like it's like punching forward that way. And to me, the winner of the coolest accessories goes to Donatello, not because he's got a bow staff that's expected, and I would expect, a set with effects to have him with a spinning one like this, but he's also got a little kit here, a little pouch, right, with a little cross for probably that pouch has like, first aid kit and stuff. And then he also comes with a wrench. So I would imagine this pouch is, maybe it's his toolkit. It's got some other cool stuff in there. It's a utility belt, if you will. But that's pretty sweet that he comes with a wrench like that. A nice little touch there. So a couple neat little extras for Donatello. And for articulation, the head is on a double ball peg here. So there's a lot of good expressive motion. You can kind of go forward and backwards and side to side and cock his head. And he can look up a little bit and look down quite a bit. And then you can get the arm using that swivel. You can get that arm out to the side there. It can also swing around. Decent reach across as well. If you want to do some two-handed poses, you should have no problem with that. The elbows are single jointed, and they can come, depending on the angle you use, they can come just like a little bit past 90 degrees. But the elbow pouch can get in the way a little bit of it there. So that hinders things a little bit. There's double action in the torso. So the upper torso has a double ball joint, and then the lower torso has a single ball joint down there. And you can get a decent amount of range going when you sort of combine the two together. So there's a lot of good articulation. There are some limits though, because the pouches are going to get in the way here. The shell's going to get in the way in the back. But you can get some pretty fun poses, and the articulation is very, very smooth, and the torso pops off pretty easily. So, you can pop it off, move this piece around a little bit, and then pop it back on and, play around with it like that. The hip is on a ball joint. Again, these pouches and things can get in the way a little bit, but he can kick up a decent amount, and then you can kick back a little bit here. You can go out into the splits about this far. Again, these pouches get in the way. If you remove these pouches, you can totally get more range. And maybe I'll just try to pop them apart before we finish here and just kind of show you. It does have a twist at the upper thigh as well. The knee is double jointed, and it can kick up this far. Gets a little hindered by that knee pad. And then you do have a rocker at the ankle and a hinge. The one piece I would really like would be a twist at that ankle too. But the twist at the thigh helps a lot with that, so not too big of a deal, but really good range in that ankle there. And I popped the elbow off. It actually came off not too hard. It actually was pretty easy to just pop that off. I didn't even heat it up. But when you do that, you get a little bit more range in that elbow, but you don't get the elbow pad, of course. And then the other option to get a little more range that is actually pretty good is to remove these leg pieces, and you just have to heat up the hips and then pop that ball joint out, and then those slide right off, and that can add a little bit more range there, going to the side and even kicking forward a little bit more. So that if you want to get the maximum articulation on these, I would remove those. And I think it still looks fine, right? Like, I don't think you really necessarily have to have those on there. I'll be keeping mine on there because I kind of like the look, but I think it looks fine without them too. Anyway, that'll do it for my review. If you have any more questions, let me know. I didn't have a ton of time to dedicate to this review, so I may have missed some things, or you might still have some questions. Let me know in the comments below. But I love these figures. They are fantastic. I was kind of collecting the Mezco ones. I was trying to decide if I was going to collect the Mezco ones. I do collect the NECA Mirage stuff, and I'm going to continue to collect those, but I think I'm going to replace the Mezco collecting for turtle stuff with these JoyToy ones, and I'm going to pre-order the other waves as well. They have Bebop and Rocksteady, and then they have Shredder and a couple of the foot soldiers that are out there up for pre-order now. So I think these are awesome. I just love adding more 1/18 scale to the collection. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and until next time, may the force be with you.